Welcome to the Daqo New Energy second quarter 2026 results conference call. At this time, all participants are in listen-only mode. Should you need assistance, please signal a conference specialist by pressing the star key followed by 0. After today's prepared remarks, there will be an opportunity to ask questions. To ask a question, please press star then 1 on your telephone keypad. To withdraw your question, please press star then 2. Please note this event is being recorded. I would now like to turn the conference over to Jessie Zhao, Investor Relations Director. Please go ahead.
Hello everyone, I'm Jessie Zhao, the Investor Relations Director of Daqo New Energy. Thank you for joining our conference call today. Daqo New Energy just issued its financial results for the second quarter of 2026. Which can be found on our website at www.dqsolar.com. Today, attending the conference call, we have our Chairman and CEO, Mr. Xiang Xu, our Deputy CEO, Ms. Anita Xu, our CFO, Mr. Ming Yang, and myself. Today's call will begin with an update from Mr. Xu on market conditions and company operations, followed by a translation from Ms. Xu from Mr. Xu, and then Mr. Yang will discuss the company's financial performance for the quarter. After that, we will open the floor to Q&A from the audience. Before we begin the formal remarks, I would like to remind you that certain statements on today's call, including expected future operational and financial performance and industry growth, are forward-looking statements that are made under the safe harbor provisions of the U.S. Private Securities Litigation Reform Act of 1995. These statements involve inherent risks and uncertainties. A number of factors could cause actual results to differ materially from those contained in any forward-looking statement. Further information regarding this and other risks is included in the reports or documents we have filed with or furnished to the Securities and Exchange Commission. These statements only reflect our current and preliminary review as of today and may be subject to change. Our ability to achieve these projections is subject to risks and uncertainties. All information provided in today's call is as of today, and we undertake no duty to update such information, except as required under applicable law. Also, during the call, we will occasionally reference monetary amounts in US dollar terms. Please keep in mind that our functional currency is the Chinese RMB. We will offer these translations into US dollars solely for the convenience of the audience. Now I will turn the call to our Chairman and CEO, Mr. Xiang Xu. Mr. Xu, please go ahead. 现在请董事长。
尊敬的各位投资者、分析师，晚上好，我是徐翔，大学新能源的 CEO。感谢大家出席大学新能源2026年2季度的业绩交流会。因为时间的关系，我就想请 Anita 把我今天的这个报告的一些内容翻译一下，实际讲用时间的关系。
Hello everyone, this is Anita, and I'll now translate our Chairman Mr. Xu's remarks. In the second quarter of 2026, market sentiment across the solar PV industry remained cautious amid weak domestic demand and elevated inventory levels, which drove prices lower across the solar value chain. Despite these headwinds, we resumed sales in June, delivering a sequential increase in revenue and a narrowing of quarterly operating and net losses. Throughout this period, we continue to maintain a robust and healthy balance sheet with zero debt. As of June 30, 2026, we held a cash balance of $555.3 million, short-term investments of $250 million, bank notes receivables of $71.7 million, held-to-maturity investment of $51 million, and fixed-term bank deposit balance of $994.8 million. Together, these readily convertible assets totaled $1.9 billion, providing us with ample liquidity, confidence, and strategic flexibility to navigate the current market downturn. On the operational front, we continue to take proactive measures to navigate challenging market conditions, with our nameplate capacity utilization rate operating at approximately 57% during the period. Total production volume at our two polysilicon facilities was 43,675 metric tons for the quarter, exceeding our guidance range of 35,000 metric tons to 40,000 metric tons. With polysilicon market prices remaining below production costs since the first quarter of 2026, we initially refrained from engaging in the below-cost sales in line with Chinese self-regulation guidelines and adopted a disciplined wait-and-see approach pending further implementation of the national anti-involution policy. However, after an extended period without clear policy updates, we adjusted our sales and pricing strategies toward a more market-oriented approach in June. As a result, our sales volume increased from 4,482 metric tons last quarter to 15,190 metric tons, with average selling price falling to $4.04 per kilogram. Our polysilicon transaction and shipment volumes have continued to pick up in the third quarter, reflecting increased confidence in the quality and an ongoing preference for products from customers. On the cost side, total production costs remained flat sequentially at $5.95 per kilogram, with cash costs edging down by 0.4% to $4.57 per kilogram, and manufacturing costs in RMB terms declining slightly. In light of the current market dynamics, we expect total polysilicon production volume in third quarter 2026 to be approximately 40,000 metric tons to 45,000 metric tons. For the full year of 2026, we expect production volume to be in the range of 160,000 metric tons to 180,000 metric tons. Polysilicon market prices came under further downward pressure during the second quarter, with N-type polysilicon prices falling from 35 to 37 RMB per kilogram at the end of the first quarter to 31 to 34 RMB per kilogram at the end of the second quarter. Amid subdued demand, depressed pricing, and accumulating industry-wide inventories, polysilicon producers operated at low utilization rates, with aggregate output of 5,308 metric tons in the first half of 2026, representing a 9.8% year-on-year decrease. As we make our way through the third quarter, the continued rollout of anti-involution measures is gaining momentum. In July, a series of mandatory national standards were issued for energy consumption and product efficiency across the solar PV value chain, including the final official version of a new standard setting energy consumption limits per unit of polysilicon output, which will take effect on January 1st, 2027. Polysilicon manufacturers whose unit energy consumption exceeds 6.3 kilograms per kilogram must complete corrective improvements by that date or face the risk of plant shutdown. Notably, this threshold of 6.3 per kilogram is stricter than the 6.4 proposed in the draft, signaling regulators' commitment to accelerating the phase out of inefficient capacity. On July 27th, the China Photovoltaic Industry Association issued the General Principles for Cost Accounting Models in the Photovoltaic Industry, an initiative to regulate market competition and advance standardized industry governance lays the foundation for price regulation and enforcement. On July 31st, the State Administration for Market Regulation issued price compliance guidelines for the solar PV sector, promoting a structural shift from price competition to value-driven differentiation. The SAMR emphasized that solar PV companies must conduct price compliance self-reviews and curb irrational low-price competition, and that the CCIA should strengthen industry self-regulation, promote the general principles, and guide companies away from illegal pricing practices such as below-cost dumping. The SAMR also indicated that it will take enforcement action against non-compliant entities. Together with 7 other polysilicon manufacturers, we jointly signed an initiative to eliminate below-cost sales and fully comply with energy consumption standards on August 6th. As a result of these collective measures, polysilicon prices are beginning to show signs of recovery, with spot prices stabilizing and forward prices rebounding by more than 10% from their recent lows. We're also diversifying beyond our core Polysilicon business to hedge against solar PV cyclicality, targeting the fast-growing AI data center power infrastructure market. On June 3, 2026, we announced the signing of an investment agreement to establish a manufacturing base focused on the R&D, manufacturing, and sale of next-generation energy solutions and related equipment for AI DCs. This includes energy storage systems, solid-state transformers, and solid-state circuit breakers. These technologies support the industry's transition to high-voltage direct current architecture, such as the 800-volt DC standard advanced by NVIDIA and other leading AI infrastructure providers. The platform is anchored by Daqo Group, our affiliated entity under common beneficial ownership of Daqo New Energy, which brings over 40 years of power equipment manufacturing expertise, established technology and deep talent and customer relationships to accelerate our entry into the segment. We view AI DC power infrastructure as a structural growth opportunity that complements our core business and broadens our earnings base. Consistent with our strong track record, having navigated several Polysilicon cycles, we intend to pursue this extension in a disciplined manner that preserves our balance sheet strength. Despite a challenging environment, the solar PV industry continues to exhibit compelling long-term growth prospects. Growing vulnerabilities in global energy markets have sparked widespread concerns about national energy security, in which the solar PV and renewable energy sectors can play a crucial role. As one of the world's lowest cost producers of the highest quality N-type Polysilicon, backed by a robust balance sheet and zero debt, we remain optimistic about the sector and are well positioned to capitalize on the anticipated market recovery and long-term growth opportunities. We'll continue to strengthen our competitive edge through advancements in high efficiency N-type technology and cost optimization via digital transformation and AI adoption. As the world accelerates its transition to clean energy, we're confident in our ability to play a leading role in shaping that future. And now I'll turn the call to our CFO, Mr. Ming Yang, who will discuss the company's financial performance for the quarter. Ming, please go ahead.
Thank you, Anita, and hello, everyone. This is Ming Yang, CFO of Daqo New Energy. We appreciate you joining our earnings conference call today. I will now go over the company's second quarter 2026 financial performance. Revenues were $62.7 million, compared to $26.7 million in the first quarter of 2026 and $75 million in the second quarter of 2025. The increase in revenue compared to the first quarter of 2026 was primarily driven by higher sales volume, as the company resumed normal sales activities starting in June following a prolonged period with no new policy developments. Gross loss was $82.7 million, compared to $139 million in the first quarter of 2026 and $81.4 million in the second quarter of 2025. Gross margin was negative 132%, compared to negative 520% in the first quarter of 2026 and negative 108% in the second quarter of 2025. The sequential improvement in gross margin was primarily due to a decrease in provisions for inventory impairment, which was $55.7 million in the second quarter of 2026, compared to $98.9 million in the first quarter of 2026. SG&A expenses were $15.8 million, compared to $12.2 million in the first quarter of 2026 and $32 million in the second quarter of 2025. The sequential increase was primarily due to higher sales volume in the second quarter of 2026. The year-over-year decrease was also due to the company's recognizing $18.6 million in non-cash share-based compensation costs related to its share incentive plan in the second quarter of 2025. R&D expenses were $1.6 million, compared to $0.8 million in the first quarter of 2026 and $0.8 million in the second quarter of 2025. The increase is primarily due to R&D of next generation energy solutions for AI DC power infrastructure. R&D expenses can vary from period to period and reflect R&D activities that take place during the quarter. Loss from operations was $98 million, compared to $150.8 million in the first quarter of 2026 and $115 million in the second quarter of 2025. Operating margin was negative 156% compared to negative 560% in the first quarter of 2026 and negative 152% in the second quarter of 2025. Net loss attributable to Daqo New Energy Corp shareholders was $81 million compared to $88 million in the first quarter of 2026 and $76.5 million in the second quarter of 2025. Loss per basic ADS was $1.20 compared to $1.31 in the first quarter of 2026 and $1.14 in the second quarter of 2025. Adjusted net loss attributable to Daqo New Energy shareholders, excluding non-cash share-based compensation costs, was $81 million compared to $88.4 million in the first quarter of 2026 and $57.9 million in the second quarter of 2025. Adjusted loss per basic ADS was $1.20 compared to $1.31 in the first quarter of 2026 and 86 cents in the second quarter of 2025. EBITDA was negative $29 million compared to negative $83 million in the first quarter of 2026 and negative $48 million in the second quarter of 2025. EBITDA margin was negative 46.8% compared to negative 311% in the first quarter of 2026 and negative 64% in the second quarter of 2025. Now on the company's financial condition. As of June 30th, 2026, the company had $555 million in cash and cash equivalents compared to $559.4 million as of March 31st, 2026 and $598.6 million as of June 30th, 2025. And as of June 30th, 2026, short-term investment was $215 million compared to $288 million as of March 31st, 2026 and $418 million as of June 30th, 2020. As of June 30th, 2026, no receivable balance was $71.7 million compared to $20.8 million as of March 31st, 2026 and $49 million as of June 30th, 2025. No receivable balance, which represent bank notes with maturity within 6 months. As of June 30th, 2026, held to maturity investment was $51 million compared to $50.3 million as of March 31st, 2026 and zero as of June 30th, 2025. And as of June 30th, 2026, the balance of fixed term deposit within 1 year was $928.9 million compared to $1 billion as of March 31st, 2026 and $960.7 million as of June 30th, 2025. Now on the company's cash flows. For the 6 months ended June 30th, 2026, net cash used in operating activities was $276 million compared to $105 million in the same period of 2025. And for 6 months ended June 30th, 2026, net cash used in investing activities was $159.6 million compared to $242.7 million in the same period of 2025. Net cash used in investing activities in 2026 was primarily related to the purchase of short-term investments and fixed-term deposits. For the 6 months ended June 30th, 2026, net cash used in financial activities was $7.8 million compared to $32,000 in the same period of 2025. Net cash used in financial activities in 2026 was primarily related to $7.8 million in stock purchases made by the company's subsidiary, Daqo, from its minority shareholders. And that concludes our prepared remarks. We will now open the call to Q&A from the audience. Operator, please begin.
We will now begin the question and answer session. To ask a question, you may press star then 1 on your telephone keypad. If you are using a speakerphone, please pick up your handset before pressing the keys. To withdraw your question, please press star then 2. At this time, we will pause momentarily to assemble our roster. Our first question comes from Philip Chen with Roth Capital Partners. Please go ahead.
Hi, this is Oscar Jim for Phil. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, you're loud and clear.
Okay. I have 2 questions. First question is on government support on poly pricing. even with the recent 10% rebound in forward prices, poly ASP remained below industry production costs since late Q1. How would you characterize the central government stance on supply rationalization? Are you anticipating any incremental regulatory support that could help establish a sustainable price floor in the near term? And then I have a follow-up.
Okay, we're going to translate your question and then.
这个8月6号吧，就是8月6号光伏协会，中国的光伏协会开了一个会嘛，就是希望不低于，就大家在一起就一致对就不低于成本价销售，大概成本价是现在是说51700，当然这个当中是中国的是反内卷，现在的市场来讲需求也不是太大，但是呢中国的现在的库存大概还有50万到60万吨的库存是现货，所以呢现在来讲呢是说低于成本价销售，应该讲大家制定是不会再同意的。所以近期的价钱已经有明显的报价，已经从3万多，现在已经到了4万，报价已经超过了4万，主要是现在看政治的落实，这也是反内卷一个反内卷的一个部分的工作。
Okay, I will translate for our CEO, Mr. Shi. Okay, on August 6th, led by the China's Photovoltaic Industry Association, there is a strong initiative for self-discipline, and based on the CPIA cost model, the industry average cost is estimated, production cost estimated to be around 50,000 RMB per ton, so about 50 RMB per kilogram. But due to the current market environment where demand activity is relatively low, and there's still approximately 500,000 to 600,000 tons of polysilicon inventory in the industry. So we think this price recovery might take a little bit longer than anticipated, but there is strong consensus within the industry for self-discipline, and also with the urging of the government and the related departments, that the industry consensus is that it's no longer viable to sell below cost. And what we're seeing in the market is that the quotations for polysilicon pricing from different manufacturers have already exceeded about 40 RMB per kilogram. So we're optimistic about the current policy development, and we're waiting to see how the policies may be enforced going forward.
目前买方和卖方大家都处于一种观望的状态。我们的卖方正在报一个合理的价钱，不能亏损的价格。买方还在观察，也在一个博弈的过程当中。但我个人认为，反内卷低于成本价的销售，应该讲是不合规，可能也是一种倾销的行为，也是应该被制止。这当中就是我们需要在法律框架对合理、合法、合规的统一之下，进行反内卷的工作。但是我想这个应该会有效果，因为近几年所有的中国的光伏企业、做多晶硅企业都在推行大量的新技术。我想这种长时间的亏损是没有任何的商业模式是不允许的，所以我想这个局面，我想时间不会太长，应该会扭转。其实大前去年的12月份的时候，反内卷的第一步的时候，我们大前的现金流是不亏现金流的，去年是最后一季，2025年季度。我想这个动作，可能会这个行动可能会影响到后期会影响到我们多晶硅的价钱。
Okay. So let me translate for Mr. Shi. So right now, the industry in terms of the value chain between the buyers and sellers of polysilicon. So some of the buyers are still observing the market and the policy developments, and they're taking a wait and see approach. But in terms of the polysilicon manufacturers, or expecting a reasonable price where they would not be selling at a loss or below their cost. So there's still some you can call it a wait and see between the polysilicon manufacturers and the downstream. But we do believe that the past industry practice of selling below cost, especially in the first 6 months of this year, is likely to end, and where the government is very adamant about preventing dumping of the products and selling below cost. So within the law framework for price law and for the anti-involution, our expectation is that this is likely to move forward optimistically over the next several months. And then we know that over the past few years, the polysilicon manufacturers or the whole industry in general have seen significant losses, and we do not think this is long-term sustainable. In fact, this is very unsustainable, and this is likely to lead to the industry in trouble. So if we look at DQ, especially in December of last year, when the anti-involution policy was more successful, right? So DQ had no cash loss in Q4 of 2025. So we were able to achieve a positive operating cash flow during that period. So we think that that's a more sustainable timing or framework going forward.
Thank you for the color, Mr. Xi and Mr. Yang. Just my second question is on the self-discipline agreement signed in August. Previous rounds of cell regulation kind of struggled to maintain compliance once prices fluctuated. Just wondering what makes this framework structurally distinct from past attempts. And then regarding the energy consumption requirements, what is your estimate of total industry capacity that could be phased out?
Our next question comes from Alan Liu with Jefferies. Please go ahead.
Wait, we're still answering. Not translating. Hold on. Okay. Let's give us a minute.
All right, we have Philip Chen back on the podium. My apologies.
这样，就是这个为什么能成功？对吧？因为这次是这样的。上一次的这个反内卷是想通过成立一个基金、成立一个公司收购的形式，对吧？这个呢，肯定跟中国的市场监管局的这个反垄断是有冲突的。从法律上说怎么这种冲突，应该讲设计的不是太合理，是合理。但这一次呢，是大家在制定的基础之上，对吧？还有一个呢，是根据各家公司的自身的情况，比如大全，我们做现金流，我们做我们就是在这个当中，我们生产制造的成本，我们的技术的优势就很明显，我们就能往下走。有些企业这个自身的技术的原因，能耗高，它也不会让这个能耗的标准不达标。对吧？现金流也不够，所以这事情慢慢会按照市场的规矩会发展。所以这次呢讲呢是说呢，就不基于成本呢，就是说不基于这个成本价，大家都报的成本来说，如果基于成本， 我想还有各种配套的措施，所以呢说，一般的企业就很难能够活得下来，因为这次还是有一些，应该讲，在这个法律的这个框架之下，能够走得更远。
Okay, now let me translate for Mr. Xu. Okay, so we believe that the current round of anti-involution policy and with the price law enforcement is likely to sustain. What we saw in the previous round was that there was this proposal for the industry consolidation platform, right, to accelerate the exit of excess capacity. But the State Administration for Market Regulation stepped in because they were very worried about anti-monopoly practices between the manufacturers, the leading manufacturers. So they were worried that this would bring non-market activities or behaviors by the main manufacturers. But this time, the current effort is led by the State Administration for Market Regulations, and this is bringing self-discipline forward. And also, this is not, for example, there's no coordination between the manufacturers on pricing or allocation of sales volume, for example, right? So this time it's really based on each individual manufacturer's their own production costs, right? And in terms of their manufacturing efficiencies, and for them to sell products based on their ability to produce product at a lower cost. Okay, so we think that this time is actually much more sustainable and is being supported by the government. So we think that through these two efforts, right? So one is by being one of the lowest cost producers within the industry, as well as with the regulations on energy usage. We think that this time it will promote a more market-oriented approach to both capacity exits and to the selling of products at a reasonable price. And this is all under the current legal framework brought forward by the government. Hello?
Yeah. That's all my question. Thank you. Thank you, Yang. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Oscar. Thank you.
Our next question comes from Alan Liu with Jefferies. Please go ahead.
Thanks, management, for taking my question. So my first question is a follow-up on the overall initiative to avoid selling below cost. So my understanding is that current inventory in the industry is at quite a high level, and the end demand is also quite weak at the same time. So when would you expect the poly price, for example, you mentioned their price quote at above 40 RMB per kilogram, but given that their inventory at the wafer players and demand isn't that strong, when will you expect the first or batch of transaction at a higher price to happen? Because in the past 2 weeks, all the data has halted. So we'd like to know when we expect the real transaction is coming out.
Okay. Let me translate for
yeah, thank you.
Give us a minute. Okay.
就是今天我在市场上，他们告诉我有少量的成交，大概在4万左右有少量的成交，因为这个还是有需求的，虽然需求比较疲软，但是还有一些很多公司，我们的下游企业是零库存的管理，零库存管理当中它没有库存，它就会少量的购买，这是生产需求这个，就是已经有这个超过，听说啊，了解的信息是有，我们了解的信息已经超过4万以上的成交，所以我想这个，但是4万以上的成交和当时的我们大家的这个现金成本5万元还有一定的差距。我想这是在试探，但是我认为这个我们讲的是不基于现金成本的这种行为，不是基于成本是一种倾销行为，也是一个违法的行为，是加高法上也是不合理的不合理的。所以我想这个局面会进一步的应该是加快。我自己认为是加快，但是现在呢已经有成交，从上次开始一直到博弈大概有2个星期几乎没有成交，现在已经有少量的成交，我想这个事情我认为可能会加快。那这次基于是什么？大家要信守我们的，应该讲大家要信守我们的承诺，对吧？我们大家都在有承诺，不能基于成本价销售，要行业之内，推到反内卷的国家一些措施，我想这个可能速度越来越快。
Okay, let me translate for Mr. Shi. Okay, I think he's seeing in the market that there is some transactions happening at roughly 40,000 RMB per ton, or about 40 RMB per kilogram. Although there's a very low volume of transactions right now, even though the overall demand is relatively weak, but there are some wafer producers in the industry that have a very low to no inventory where they are procuring to production. And so right now, so we are seeing some transactions, although not very high. What we're seeing is some manufacturers are testing the market. So although the full cost model would stipulate around 50 RMB per kilogram, some producers are right now testing the market and selling at approximately 40 RMB per kilogram right now. And so it's been about 2 weeks since the announcement of the manufacturers and the guidance from the government. So we do think that going forward, we are likely to see more and more transactions happen at this new price range.
Understood. So, strictly based on the production cost, probably polysilicon price will be higher than that. But given that in this round of the anti-erosion initiative, there is not a acquisition plan afterwards. So if prices goes up to 40 or maybe 45 or 50 RMB per kilogram, what do you think would happen? Because effectively, this will reach to the cost level of more players. So, like, who would be able to sell their products, or what do you think the end game of this round of initiative? Or is there some capacities would be shut down because of the higher energy consumption requirement, or how do you see this?
Let me translate for Mr. Shi first. Okay, just a minute.
一级能耗、二级能耗、三级能耗，就三级能耗、二级能耗，对吧？具体的我记不清楚了。能耗是一个重要的指数，就是因为现在来讲能耗太高，所以你是不够产能，就会被强制淘汰，没有电嘛，这是第一个。第二个呢，就是国家呢是根据这个我们的是有一些，就能耗决定了之后，我们这行业之内这个大家来讲呢，就是要自动的减产，我们要自动的减产，大家要有自动减产。这就主要是基于一个诚信基于一个诚信，一个承诺，大家自动的减产，维持我们不能基于成本价销售的这个过程。这个呢，我觉得还是有信心，因为各个公司的这个施工人都去参加了会议。
OK。
当然了，这个方面是说有能力生产，还有一些企业，这当中很多中国还有很多各地的企业，现在你就几个到60他也开不起来，因为他已经没有能力了。因为开动这个周金龟的时候，还有一个人的问题、培训的问题、时间的问题，对吧？这几个因素要素之后，他有的企业现在已经开不起来了。虽然他号称他能开，可是已经开不起来。可是实际产能已经到不了这个量，300万的、200万的都很难。现在因为这段时间大家都亏钱嘛，有的人也招不到，有的公司已经停产了，人已经解雇了，没人了，解散了，然后这个。
So let me translate for Mr. Shi. Okay, he thinks that the recent energy quota policy from the government, where there's different energy usage requirements for the industry, he thinks this is will lead to forced exit of a significant amount of capacity that have significant or higher energy usage. So we're likely to see that happen pretty soon. And then also the industry self-discipline, and there's a commitment from the various manufacturers that there should be a voluntary reduction of capacity or production. And then also there's the commitment that the manufacturers should not be selling at below production cost. So we think that both of these are likely to happen starting the second half of this year. And then there's also the issue that not that many producers actually have the capability to produce, especially now that the industry is running at a fairly low utilization level. So a lot of manufacturers have let go a significant number of people. So there's actually a lack of employees and also lack of training in time. So a lot of capacity that has been shut down is unlikely to restart going forward. So even now, he thinks that, for example, the effective capacity is within the industry, even though close to 3 million tons have been built, the effective capacity is already less than 2 million tons right now. It's likely to go lower as well.
Thank you. My last question is about the AIBC initiative as a second growth driver of the company. I wonder if there's all the backlog or progress to share on this new business. Thank you.
Okay, let me translate. Okay, hold on.
关于这个 AIBC 的事情，其实是大权的第二赛道，因为我们综合考虑这个光伏的多晶硅目前的现状，要有一个大的增长，其实有很大的难度，因为大家都很清楚市场的需求，还有光伏发电的这个规模都是可以预见，还有国内还有这么多企业竞争权。所以大权作为我们是做电气产业的这个行业的这个，应该讲对国内 在中国这个市场上，我们有很高的地位，走高地价成道开关就这样来。而且今年 AI 的发展之后呢，我们知道了我们对市场的了解，因为我们做电子设备，应该讲开关变压器是市场来讲，我们是应该讲供不应求。所以我们经过市场的调研之后，我们觉得我们应该跟做 AIDC 就是 AI 有关 AIDC 相关的一些，我们是最熟悉的行业，来增加我们的一个第二的这个增长曲线。这基于是什么？我们的专业，我们的人才优势，我们的研发优势。就像你看上次在上个赛季度的时候，我们公布了我们的做法，我们的决定之后呢，我没有和投资者来参加这个投资人的一个会议，因为我一个特殊情况，也没来得及参加这个会议，正好今天也是这个机会，跟各位投资者可以来解释一下关于这个大权在 AIDC 大权能源跟 AIDC 方面的这个产品的优势。因为我们是做这个产品，大权基于这个方面电力行业的这个基因，所以我们对 AI 的这个电力需求的电力需求这市场是比较了解的。所以我觉得呢 AIDC 这个行业，我们来讲对我们来说做这电力设备，包括它里面的电力厂，对吧？包括它里面的这个 IT 厂，包括这个发电厂，我们都非常熟悉。这是我们对 AIDC 的一个现成的产品。同时来说，现在大家都清楚，我们的 AIDC 当中的 SFC、SFCB 固态开关和固态变压器，现在来说都是全球应该讲是一个未来的一个方向。虽然明年没有 SFC 没有太多的市场，我们应用达到这个方案，应用达到这个 DC800的方案和现在中国阿里的巴拿马的方案，对这个电力的需求是很大，而且大权在这个上面优势是非常非常明显。所以我们想在这个上面，我们应该这个利用我们现在大权能源大概New Energy这里面的资金的优势我们现在有资金的优势，加上这个是应该讲是一个巨大的一个增长的动力，我们来投入这个行业的这个市场的这个投入市场的这个加入研发制造，这是我们优势的体现，这个行业我们就非常熟悉。现在我们在做的是什么？我们有一个自己的一个研发的队伍我们现在在上海成立研发的队伍。所以我想呢，在2027年，我们应该有销售，因为大家这个行业有很多的客户资源应该讲有一流的我们研发团队，我们也想做到世界上一流的研发工程师加入我们团队，在 IIDC 电力这个系统、电力市场的 SFC 这个上面，能够作为行业的领先者，甚至全球的领先者，这是我们的优势。而且我们现在也有现金流，我们有自己现金流，我们可以大胆的去投入，那你是手指一万，大胆的投入。应该讲，我们建成一个一流的工厂，一个一流的人才的队伍，还有一流的制造设备。这尽管讲的是体现这个形成我们的销售，形成我们的收入，为我们这个公司创造利润。因为首先这个整个强调一点，就是我们这个行业非常熟悉。
Okay, let me translate for Mr. Shi. So we do see that the AIDC related power infrastructure and equipment market is actually a very viable sector where it is going to be a significant growth driver for the company, and it's the second sector that the company is entering into. So I think most investors are probably aware that we do think that the growth for the Polysilicon market going forward is likely to be relatively low in terms of volume demand as well as the solar. So the company is actively looking for other areas of growth. And because Daqo Group has more than 40 years of experience in the power equipment sector, and being one of the leading manufacturer and supplier of high and low voltage, for example, power equipment such as a transformer and circuit breakers. So Daqo Group is seeing a very strong demand especially in AI data center related power equipment demand. So we do think this is a very significant and real opportunity for the company. And Daqo Group brings many years of experience and advantage in manufacturing, in R&D, in technology capability. So in terms of products as well. So with the growing power demand, and especially for the next generation power infrastructure for IDC, where led by NVIDIA, there's this future development of a new next generation of equipment under the 800 volt DC infrastructure for so we're targeting initially in the solid state transformer and solid state circuit breaker market. So the industry is starting in 2027 next year, and then we expect to see very significant growth from 2028 to 2030 with power demand from these new AI data centers based on the new 800 volt DC technology. So with Daqo Group, right, so it brings significant experience and advantage, and at the same time matching with Daqo New Energy's strong balance sheet and capital position, right, to capture this growth driver. So now we have built an R&D team in Shanghai, and we expect to have an initial product ready by year end, and then with prototypes, and then achieving sales starting in 2027, and then capturing the growth opportunity 2028 to 2030. And our goal is to become an industry leader within this IDC power equipment sector by being a tier one, both in terms of product and the team. So that's our current goal right now.
Yeah, thanks a lot for management detailed explanation. I'll pass on. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Alan.
Our next question comes from Mona Wang with Goldman Sachs. Please go ahead.
Sure. Thanks, management, for taking my question. I have two questions. One is related to the poly business, and another to the AIDC business. So first, in terms of the poly business, I think you just mentioned like currently the industry, upstream and downstream players is kind of wait and see, and given the downstream inventory is at a relatively higher level, I'm not sure what's the outcome do you expect for after the wait and see period, and particularly we had this kind of self-discipline in first half, like we uphold our pricing and then we record lower shipments. So I'm wondering, like, do you have any shipment guidance towards the end of the year? What's our priority going forward? Will we uphold the pricing to the higher level, like 50,000 per ton, or we are kind of want to reach the balance between price or shipments? So want to hear more about the poly business operation strategy. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Moen. So let me translate your question for Mr. Shi, and then he will respond. Okay, just a minute.
这个，我认为，我的概念是，下半年，对我们来讲， 这个放货应该讲我们产品质量比较好，放货不是问题，主要还是价格的问题。价格的问题，价格的问题当中是什么？就是说今年上半年我们放货的比较少，按照我们这个行业制定，大全的产能应该是能放货应该超过这个应该能达到15%到15%至少份额之间，超过这个份额是合理的。所以说这个呢是呢，我们还会进一步的按照我们当时的想法，就是合理的价位我们去放货。但是今年是什么？因为全行业已经亏损了不是1年了，所以很多企业很难支撑得下去。未来的时候，我认为一定有一些成本高的企业，现金流不好的企业会被淘汰。第二，能耗不高，能耗指标不达标的，它会被政府强制淘汰。所以这个是对我们是个利好的事情。所以我觉得是大全能源有足够的现在有这样的良好的财务状况和良好的质量标准和良好的质量，还有我们下游客户的评价好的这个优势。我想我们下一步，我们想在应该讲摆在一个大环境之下，我们想就是能够把我们的库存降到最低。这是我觉得从未来来说，今年我还不敢明确的讲，我认为明年的形势会更好。因为今年正在大家现在来看下来，现在的价格也在提升。当然不仅仅是我们硅片的问题，包括我们的硅片，不仅是硅料的问题，包括我们的硅片电子价格也在上涨。因为现在的价格都低于现金成本价，这完全不合理的，完全不合理，也应该讲是这种倾销的行为，也是我认为也是违法的，违反价格保证。所以我想这个应该会有点，也必须有点这种局面。
Okay, let me translate for Mr. Shi. So, in the second half, what we believe is that because Daqo New Energy, we have superior quality of product in the market. So, selling and shipping our product is really not an issue. I think the question is really price. So in the first half, because we adhere to self-discipline, so we did not sell as much products as our normal market share. So because our competitors were engaged in below cost sales practices. But if we look at our market share in the past, we believe that we can achieve approximately 15% market share within the industry, and we continue to expect that going forward. So our target is to sell at a appropriate price or a reasonable price, and also be fully compliant with the government guidance and the price law. So what we expect is that, say in the next 6 to 18 months, we're likely to see a forced exit or a market-based exit of manufacturers with high production costs or manufacturers with poor cash positions or poor cash flow. So companies with not a good balance sheet is likely to continue to struggle going forward. While Daqo New Energy, with our cash position and our strong balance sheet, and also our high product quality and low cost, we expect that we're likely to do better and to do well in the market. So especially in 2027, where we expect to see a much improved and better market environment. And then we expect to continue to lower our inventory going forward to a relatively low inventory levels. That's our target. Okay.
Okay, thank you. So can I conclude that we will hold up the price in near term, and we will wait the rest of the marginal players to exit, and then that's the time we will see fast inventory depletion, and recovery of the shipment is likely to occur in the next 6 to 18 months.
I think in terms of pricing, right? So I mean, we're definitely we cannot sell below cost, right? So we're going to adhere to that, and then at the same time, we'll look for opportunities to sell at a reasonable price. And yeah, and then wait, and then for the market to have additional capacity exercise.
Okay, that's super clear. And my second question about AIDC, I think we have put out an announcement, like we have 6 billion renminbi total investment, 2 billion in the first phase. And you just mentioned we will have sales volume recorded in next year. So just wondering, can you share a bit more about the plan for the AIDC business, specifically like our capex timeline and the source of capital for this 6 billion or 2 billion investments, and what's our expected payback duration for the first phase of the production base, and what the normalized profitability from this business do we expect will achieve? And also for other like operating metrics, will we have more other sources allocated for this new business development, or we can use some of the synergies from our Daqo group, the aligned company? So a lot of details, but can you share a bit more regarding to these metrics? Thank you so much.
Okay. Let me translate your question first quickly. Okay, hold on.
这个大全这次投资 AIDC 的相关的设备，主要是这里面呢是一些我们的方长记号 SSCD， 里面最能看到的是跟电力有关的这个一号这一块。这块呢，我认为呢，明年我们这个销售应该讲应该是爬坡阶段，但很快。同时呢，这是一块，这是一个产业，明年能看到我们的销售。我想这个销售应该讲跟我们对大全的这种应该讲整体的系统，大全这种协同，所以这个能力我们很强。应该讲，我们应该讲有我认为有足够的订单来支撑我们这个产业，这个产业。基于现在是什么？我们新的投资能够把我们的工厂尽快建成。其实第二是能够把我们的设备尽快的安装到位，制造的设备到位。当然，人才的队伍是基于市场和大型集团原来的一些专业工程师，我们会让他找新的工作，这是我想我们在做的。同时，我们要启动我们正在研发 SSD 应该讲今年明年的市场还没有全面的爆发。我想在未来的爆发之前，我们所充分的准备。来迎接这一次应该讲一个新的机遇和机会，这是我们在 AIDC。所以我也相信，我明年我们 AIDC 一定有销售，一定有应该讲爬坡速度非常快的一个趋势。这个我对这个行业我非常熟悉，因为现在前期的市场调研，大家对大全我们的客户、我们的共同合作伙伴，对大全能源做 AIDC 方面的一些设备，大家是充满了信心和信任。
Okay, let me translate for Mr. Shi. Okay, I think first of all, let me just clarify on the investments involved. So even though the total project anticipated investment is 6 billion RMB, we're only committing the first phase right now, which is about 2 billion RMB, which will cover all of solid state transformer, solid state circuit breaker, and also our e-house total solution for AI power infrastructure, and also some related to energy storage. And so the remaining $4 billion is not committed as of today. So, and it will be planned sometime in the future. And then in terms of our strategy, so we're focusing on AI DC related power infrastructure equipment. And then we expect to have three primary products, right? So one is a total solution or a package solution which is going to be a plug and play kind of solution for AI power infrastructure, which has all the related power equipment, and then also solid state transformers and solid state circuit breakers, and so include the related software and control. And there's very significant synergy with Daqo Group, where because of Daqo Group's experience and know-how, and also their position within the market, and we think that it's actually we can receive significant orders from customers. And so we're now in the phase of doing R&D and also the building of related manufacturing facilities. And the R&D team is now in place, and we continue to expect to have our prototype ready by year end and getting these products. So in terms of 2026 and 2027 is really a preparation period and introduction of the product into the market. And we think that the market will see a high growth phase from 2028 to 2030, and where we do expect a significant ramp up of revenue during this period for these related products and business. Okay. All right. Thank you, Moment.
Heading to the last very small question. For the $2 billion committed investment, we will spend in 2026, right?
Over the next 2 years. This year is only about, I think it's only maybe 30 to 40 million US dollars this year. And then the remaining will be over the next 2 years, actually. Yeah.
Sure. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you. And then our CEO will make additional comment.
我讲一个事呢，就是关于半导体的事情。大权投了12点多亿，当时在爱国募集资金的时候，有个投资项目，半导体项目。半导体项目呢，就是因为一直在做认证，就是这个认证。原来时间呢周期比较长，但是呢现在呢半导体明年的半导体的市场的需求，全球我了解是7.6万吨，再是呢7.5到6万吨，明年的市场的产量只有5.7万吨。所以呢，我们现在呢还是希望呢，要尽快把半导体的这个项目呢，尽快的能够拿到认证，这半导体的行业给我们带来更多的价值。这当然需要我们就招聘军这个团队把它做起来。
Okay. And Mr. Xu will provide an update on our semiconductor polysilicon business, where the company has spent a total investment, including land and related equipment facilities of about 1.2 billion RMB into the business. And we've been doing product trial production, and also in terms of qualification with our customers. And the qualification cycle has been much longer than we anticipated, but we're continuing to do this. And he's very optimistic that he's looking at very significant market demand, where the anticipated demand for semiconductor poly is roughly 75,000 tons per year, while right now the current industry production for semiconductor poly is only about 57,000 tons per year. So he's anticipating a very significant growth for this a product, this market sector. So we're going to wrap up and reinvigorate our activities for this. Okay.
Merci. 好吧。
This concludes our question and answer session. I would like to turn the conference back over to Jessie Zhao for any closing remarks.
Thank you everyone again for participating in today's conference call. Should you have any further questions, please don't hesitate to contact us. Thank you and have an awesome day. Goodbye.
The conference is now concluded. Thank you for attending today's presentation. You may now disconnect.